Dad and I have started a challenge unlike no other. We are in a race to win 7 different trophies from the 11 selected leagues and 2 big European Cups. However, once one of us wins a trophy, the other is unable to claim it as part of their 7. And recent wins in Italy and England has kept things very interesting, with Dad still 2 trophies ahead of me at this point. However, after he beat me to the job at Borussia Dortmund, I moved to Club Brugge and Sporting. And while Dad was fumbling away in Germany, allowing me to even things up at 5 trophies each. And now I've moved to France with Monaco, the next trophy is really important. Because after going half the season unbeaten, I fancy my title challenges this season against PSG. And Dad hasn't exactly started the next season in the best of form. Alright, Dad stayed with Borussia Dortmund this season. This will be your 3rd crack at it, or 4th crack at it, I think, something like that anyway.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Feels like forever you've been here.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, with all the transfers I've done last season, it's not a lot I could change really. And I just really studied the side, and I just felt the 2 right-sided midfielders was the 2 positions I could have done with, just sort of making them better players in those 2 positions. Everywhere else I thought I was happy with, and that's what I concentrated on, and I've got these 2 players in.
Well, going back to Arsenal, obviously, where you bought him to Fatakanti.
Yeah.
So 31 years of age now, but still a quality midfielder.
And he's a good ball winner, and he's also a defensive, good, defending as well. So I've just felt he was the right-sided, right-footed. So I thought this was the guy to get in, just to sort of like make that sort of bit more solid, really.
Yeah.
So I was pleased to get him at 34 million. I thought that was a really good bargain.
Yeah. I mean, when you bought him from Arsenal, he was good.
Yeah.
Obviously, again, Estrella.
Yes.
He used to play for Monaco as well. Look how cheap he used to be.
Yeah.
He went to Estrella, had a great season. That's when you paid £50 million for him. So we mentioned them having money. They've been very good at just getting good business because, he's done quite well there. But the other player we actually mentioned last season, obviously, Javon Simmons. He was transfer listed. I looked at him as well, and I couldn't really raise the funds. But you've done it in a lot of installments.
I've done it in the never, as Aaron calls it.
Yeah.
So I just felt I really needed to get him in. So I just thought, right, it could be my last season. I ain't got to worry about what happens to the next season or anything like that, hopefully.
You said that last year.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So I've got him in, but I'm really pleased that I've got him in, because I think that could be the piece of the jigsaw that I actually just need, just to sort of slot him in, job them.
Well, let's see. Still going for the attacking.
I didn't want to change it. I didn't want to change it. I felt I was good enough to win the league last season, and I think I'm still good enough to win it this season, and that's exactly how I wanted it to look now.
Okay. How have you started the season though? Because Cologne, who won the league,
I know,
beat the first game of the season.
Yeah, I was a bit disappointed with that, but it's still a long season.
Also,
and then I've drawn a game. So
you were down to 10 men.
I'm a bit worried. I am really a bit worried now.
Yeah, stuff in Hanover, but a bit rough. We've also got to play each other, by the way.
Yeah,
we've got to play each other in the Champions League. So that'd be nice to cross paths, because we haven't crossed paths for a while, I don't think, since we've left Austria. Obviously, we played a couple of times. I think when you battered my final side with Chelsea.
Yeah.
I don't really think we've played much after that. And we've kind of avoided each other in terms of the league, but it's still been quite fun considering we've been in different leagues, because we've just been missing out on where we've been going, obviously, and just picking up these league titles. And this is where I think this series has been our best so far. But let's have a look at what I've done, because I've actually brought in quite a lot of players. I've got a goalkeeper, by the way, who I loaned out. He's phenomenal. If I am here for a long time, which, given that PSG is as good as they are, could potentially be a long time. Polzer is really good as a backup goalkeeper. I've loaned him out to Marseille as a first-team goalkeeper, and they were one of the best teams in our league, so they're paying me a lot of wedge to have him. But I've also sold Jesus Hernandez. He's left the club for a little bit, mainly because I needed that foreign player position. You already can get 4 in France, and I've bought a couple of players for that, and this man as well has also left. He was on loan the season before, so he's gone out again. But there's also another £30 million I sold here, so another player to Marseille, and £10 million for Tom Bischoff, who I wasn't really playing his position, and he couldn't get in ahead of Ben Seguir. And Eduardo Quaresma, I've bought a player to replace him. He's gone to El Etihad and he's 33 for £14 million. So the players that I brought in, starting off, Pau Kabasi, 35 years of age, of course, just come through Barcelona's youth academy, La Masia. I've picked him up from Napoli, £35 million. Not a bad defender. When I bought him, though, he was a 3.5 star. And then when he joined, then it's down to a 2.5. And it's like, all right. But I still think he's decent. I like the physical attributes on him anyway. Might have overspent, but yeah. Borsani, £22 million. The rest of my signings, I don't think I've overspent at all. I think these are all very... And the free transfers, by the way, unbelievable. But Borsani from Inter Milan, good right winger, fantastic player. Just sold a right winger. I've brought in this one as well. Malia's also there. I've brought in a player on a free transfer who will fill in up front if we don't have our main striker, who is probably a way better player. Then we've got Fatawu Ganiwu from Parma, £30 million. The deep line playmaker aspect is why I've bought him, because the passing of 19 and good vision with a decent technique and composure and first touch. He's great on the ball. And then finally, Angel Gomez, who was a free transfer. I tried to get him in the January, but he didn't want to talk to anybody. And if you look, this was done on the 11th of July. So he was completely out of contract, no affiliation to any club. Look how good he is. 29 years of age, a world-class player.
Yeah.
20 determination. I mean, he's unbelievable. The only downside, really, is he can't jump. 3 for jumping, but I don't really need him to jump.
No.
He plays in that centre midfield spot. We're playing the same formation and tactic as what we played last season. That done so well from us when we joined. But Ganiwu and Kubasi are being locked in. The rest of the lineup goes in, as you can see, like this. So they are taking a couple of players out there. But Ben Seguir and Ambike are the two guys that should get me a lot of goals, hopefully. And adding Borsani and Gomez in behind them should do the job. Now, start of my season has been good up until I then drew against Clermont Foot, which is annoying. I mean, they've even got Chido Obi, who scored against me there, which is frustrating. But the rest of the games, I didn't make a tit of myself against Brest. I beat them 4-0. Nantes 2-0, Troyes 4-1, Reims 1-0. But yeah, very frustrating. Got to play against a former club in final in the Champions League, so that's kind of nice. Cologne, obviously Bundesliga champions. Congratulations to them. So that's going to be fun. I don't have to play PSG for a long time until I have to face them there. Right after playing Rennes, so that's going to be
So hopefully that's 2 games you lose.
Yeah, well, maybe. Who knows? But, right. Let's see what happens then, because this is getting very interesting now. Because if I manage to win the league somehow and you still struggle, I take the lead for the first time in the challenge.
Yeah. Oh, I don't want to think about it. I can't be there another season. Can't be there for another season. That's such a good side I've got.
Yeah. I mean, just but not to keep robbing it in, but you have give away a 2-trophy lead.
Yes.
After holding a 2-trophy lead for a long time. Since season 5.
And do you know what? When I took all the Dortmund jobs, especially we both applied for it and I got it, I honestly thought 1, maybe 2 seasons and I'll be gone again from there.
Yeah.
I really did. Especially the first season because I had 200 million to spend. Didn't I?
Yeah.
And buying the players I bought then, and I missed it by a point then, I thought second season this is done and dusted. I'll be finished then. And I can't believe
your kryptonite.
There's always one team that sort of just keeps me there. I mean, I've done the right decision. I left Chelsea straight away as soon as the job come up. Then hang around, job done, in and out. Dortmund, I honestly felt I'd be all right there.
I just thought that wasn't even Bayern Munich that cost you last year. That makes it even funnier.
I can't believe that.
They finished in 6th.
Where did they come from?
Oh, this is brilliant.
Oh, near.
All right, well, I'm going to try my best to win the league here in France, but PSG are still odds-on favourites 1-4 with Pep Guardiola at the helm.
Come on, Pep.
To win it. Look at the Dream 11. It is dominated by PSG players. This man up front, by the way, is unbelievable. Look how good he is. He's Spanish as well, so it's perfect for Pep. They bought him for £113 million. He got 20 goals last season. So this is the type of club that I have to overthrow should I want to make it really interesting. But let's see what happens. Well, in the Champions League against Dad, it was by Monaco's side that stole a win in the last few minutes of the match to make it 2-1. But a crucial penalty miss against French champions means that at the halfway stage, I'm still trailing them by 2 points in the league. Dad, on the other hand, was defeating his main title challengers Bayern Munich right when it mattered. And he took a commanding lead going into the new year, sitting 5 points ahead. In the second half of the season, though, I managed to pull off a massive win against PSG in the league, as well as knocking them out of the quarter-finals of the Champions League as well. And despite picking up a loss once a month roughly in the year, we were top of the league with 3 games remaining. Dad, who has the same amount of games remaining, could win the league title though in the following fixture, which he managed to do to finally lift the Bundesliga trophy. So with Dad finally getting his 6th trophy, it was down to me to keep the scores level. And even with us drawing to Saint Etienne, we managed to win our final 3 fixtures, which means we finally break PSG's reign of terror and lift the French league title. Not only that, we also came from behind against Dad's old side Arsenal to win the Champions League as well. Well, you've finally done it.
Come on.
The Bundesliga has been ticked
Yes. Only drew 6 games this time in the league. Get in.
Fair play, Dad. You got it done eventually.
Looking at that, I should have done as well, really.
Yeah, the average rating dominated.
Yeah.
Done very well in the end. But I hate to think that you just spent a little bit too long there. You let me in.
I did. I've spent 2 seasons too long there.
Yeah.
I think I was there I think it's 4 seasons.
Yeah.
But I think I was too long.
Because I think as well, the jobs that came up within that time that is now been and gone.
But then saying that, though, you took the jobs that did come up and gone.
There were still other jobs.
I know there were still other jobs, but not as good as what the ones that you took as well.
You could be in Turkey now. Let's put it that way. Because that job came up the same time as Monaco.
Yeah, the Fenerbahce
one.
Yeah, I know.
And that's a big one.
It's an hard place to get into in Turkey. There's only certain teams you can play. You stand a chance of winning the league with.
Well, that
and you can come
remaining league to go to. By the way,
it is, isn't it? You can come back to Germany and you can pick the top 4, maybe 5 there, really, couldn't you?
And build something.
And I guarantee you a job would come up out of them 5 as well, because if one of them 5 not doing very well, they do sack them.
Money's good in Germany too.
Yeah.
Money is normally quite good. I mean, if we're just randomly going on to Frankfurt, look, £30 million transfer budget. Cologne won the league last year, 21 million. So there's always stuff. You're looking at some of the leagues, and they are like in just so much debt still. You think I went to Sporting and Club Brugge without buying a player?
Yeah.
Because there was just no money and no sell on, so I just didn't bother.
It's one of those things. I mean, I do it every time we do a rebuild, a challenge, I guess. I start building the side, and I think they're so good, they're going to win the league. And I was there. They're thereabouts every season.
Yeah, this wasn't you at Roma in the Glory Hunt, where everybody was going, please leave Roma alone. Go away from Roma. At least you probably should have just won it because you just had a bit of bad luck.
One result was costing me each season.
Yeah.
At least this time I got it over and done.
Yeah, absolutely. You also won the double because you also won the DFB Pokal as well.
I'm the best team in the league by far.
Arsenal, your own team, knocked you out the Champions League as well, which is quite funny. And obviously, at the start of the season, I actually beat you as well. Nelia scored in the 89th minute to win the game.
I don't believe that.
It's quite interesting. But we all know how good that Monaco team was, because for the first time in how many seasons since 2021, we are in 2036.
15, 14 seasons.
Somebody else other than PSG has won the league, and it is thanks to this Monaco side.
If I had a hat on, I would tip it, mate. Well done.
I'll tip it myself.
Yeah.
Ben Skir was the joint top scorer. He's from centre attacking midfield. 20 goals. Not too bad at all.
I mean, you won it by 4 points, and I think 4 points from PSG is comfortable.
Yeah. Lost the same amount of games. Didn't lose against... Well, I did lose against them. No, I also lost against Rennes, but I also beat them. So that's good.
Yeah.
Not too bad at all. And I drew the 3 fixtures there, but it didn't matter. As you said, 4 points. Nice and comfortable.
They drew 5. That's cost them league.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know that feeling.
And a couple of my signings. Borsani, most assists in the league. Most assists. Got the most player of the matches. So made a difference. Very good indeed. I'm happy.
Average rating, he's up there as well.
Yeah. Which means now it's time for us to both move. And there is only one club or one nation left that we can go to.
Yes.
And that, unfortunately, for both of us, is the Turkish league. And I say that because we have only actually seen one of the big 3 jobs come up. They might have happened behind the scenes or when we were at other jobs. But in the Sport Toto Super League, Trabzonspor has been winning it recently. They've won it the last couple of seasons. But Galatasaray and Besiktas has been there as well. Fenerbahce, nowhere to be seen really. And they finished in 4th place this season. But none of the jobs are coming up.
No, they're not going to sack the managers being in the top 5 really. As long as they get European spaces, they'll keep the managers.
There's also not a lot of money in the league either. Well, you can see there's not big of a budget there.
We know that's going to happen when we get there, because that'll happen for both of us. So we can take over one team, and one of us is going to have a lot of money.
Well, Galatasaray, you get that job of £50 million.
But I can't see them sacking their manager.
No.
But,
Trabzonspor with £22 million. So you just got to hope that one of those two have a bad season. But then it's kind of a race of who gets the job, because we'll both be applying for it.
Whoa! I'll rate you. I'll rate that you higher than me at the moment.
Well, yeah, because we forgot to mention.
I was just going to say,
I also won the Champions League, by the way, beating Arsenal in the final, Dad's former club, and the Coupe de France. So I just won a treble in my second season. In only 18 months with Monaco. This Monaco side was absolutely incredible, and I didn't play anything unbelievable tactic-wise. It's just a classic 4-2-3-1 with a centre midfield on attack. But that player that was a centre midfield on attack, Gomez, was a free transfer. That was just unbelievable. So I've done very well there.
Going back to what I'm saying, I mean, we both won Champions League, but you've won it more recently.
Yeah.
If anybody's looking at our record now, you've come away from winning a treble, I'll come away from winning the double, but yours is recent, and I think your ratings would be a little bit higher than mine at the moment.
There's one job there, Istanbul. They finished in 15th. Their finances are really bad. Transfer budget is non-existent. Doesn't really look like a good place to go right now. Their players aren't very good. Their striker doesn't even have over 10 for finishing, which is very poor. They got a lot of loan players as well, which means they're gone as well, so you won't have a lot of them. Their best player is a 33-year-old centre-back who, by the way, is pretty shocking. There's not much to go for in Istanbul, Besiktas.
I'll pay 100 million for him.
Yeah, I'm sure. So I very much doubt either of us will be going for that job. It would be more the case of letting the season go and then just jumping at the first opportunity that arrives.
That's the thing, isn't it? We're looking at probably a team in the top 6, I would say.
Yeah.
And if they're not there, you're not going to stand a much chance going with one of these teams, are you really?
No, that's it. Even a couple of these, I mean, they don't look too bad. There's a couple of good players there.
Yeah.
And their finances aren't as bad as what some of the other clubs are.
You could start working with that, though, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
All right, because if one of us gets into the league before the other one does, and you spend 1 or 2 seasons in there, you can build.
Yeah.
You can start making that side before the other person gets in there.
Yeah.
Unless one of the big teams, if one of the big ones comes up,
it's game over for whoever gets it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a bit like, if a job comes up and it's one of the top sort of 6, one of the lower ones, though, you sort of I don't really want to take it just in case, but I've got to go for it. Really, just to get in there.
I don't think I'll go for any of the clubs down the bottom.
No, I'm looking at 10th under, and I'm not going to touch it.
Yeah.
Even 8th and 9th, not that good.
And it's all situational. One of these clubs could come up, and if I look at it and go, there's no way I'm building a team there anytime soon. I'd rather stay unemployed.
Yeah. But how often do these jobs come up, the top 5?
Well, as I say, in the time that we have been unemployed in this game, Fenerbahce is the only one that's come up that I have seen.
Yeah.
So Galatasaray manager right now is Okan Buruk. And if we're looking at how long he's been there, 13 years. 13 years. So the Galatasaray manager isn't changing. Trabzonspor, who, by the way, keep winning the league. The last time they changed manager, 7 years ago.
6-7 years, yeah.
So those two jobs, the two that are dominating it, has not changed. Besiktas, the third best team, maybe that's a good option for us. He's been there just over a year. So just under a year. It's 1 season.
Yeah, so we missed that one.
Yeah.
When that one came away. But then we were both in jobs doing well, though.
Yeah. And that was only left manager role, which was a long time ago. And then that one, Carver's retired.
And he was there for 7 years.
And he wasn't even sacked.
Well, virtually 8 years.
Yeah. So he wasn't sacked either. So 8 seasons he was there and he wasn't sacked. These jobs do not come available very often. We've just got to pray and hope. that one of them do. Well, it comes down to this then. 6 trophies each, and it's now a straight race for the final trophy on our checklist. So it's time we resign from our roles and hope that something in Turkey appears soon. The following season was rather quiet though, with only Besiktas appearing in season 14 as insecure, but they never committed to sacking their manager. And the season finished with us still unemployed as Galatasaray lifted the league title. Another year later though, and again we are just spectators waiting for something to happen. 3 whole seasons later though, and I was starting to worry for Dad and I. In fact, it was 3.5 seasons later before a flurry of jobs became available in Turkey as Fenerbahce manager left for another role, along with a few others sacking theirs. With one of them being Samsunspor, for which I applied for and was given an interview. I did apply for the Fenerbahce job too, but Dad was brought right away in for an interview while I was still sat waiting. So instead, I made the very bold move of taking over at Samsunspor as their new manager in the mid-December 2039. They were currently sat in 9th place with around £4 million in the transfer budget and some half-decent players that I could build with. Dad wasn't waiting too long though, as Fenerbahce approached him and he finally became the manager of a Turkish giant. They were sat in 3rd place, but the finances at the club were really good and Dad had £33 million to spend in January. I even managed to wheel and deal and spend a good amount of the money in January too, trying to improve my team. And I set them out in a 4-3-2-1 narrow formation. Dad brought in 4 new players, spending only £21 million of the budget he had been given, and was looking to play them in a 4-2-3-1 wide system. When our teams clashed, it was a 3-3 draw, with new signing Carlos Eduardo scoring a hat-trick for me. And the season ended with Samsunspor climbing into 4th place, while Dad finishing 2nd place behind champions Galatasaray again. So with us both at clubs now, the race to 7 has just become very interesting again. 2036 it was when we left the last 2 jobs. It is now 2040. And we're finally starting the first season at the clubs. Obviously, we've been there for the half of the season in Turkey. It took so long. Just no jobs. No jobs whatsoever came up. 3 whole seasons just sat watching and waiting. So, 2040, here we are, Dad, in Turkey.
Yeah.
Both at 2 clubs. You've definitely got the better team out of the 2.
I think I was a little bit lucky there, again.
Yeah. But to be fair, I did take the Samsunspor job before Fenerbahce ever came back with an offer for either of us.
Yeah.
So I didn't even leave it to chance. I actually didn't mind this team looking at it. They didn't have the worst finances. They had a few okay players. And I think I've actually improved them quite a bit. So let's take a look at it then. We're looking at basically the team that I took over in the January. I had money to spend, and I did actually sell a couple of players, including this man here, for £10 million. Which, there's actually a few more there that I did sell as well, like another £4 million there, which allowed me to spend a bit of money as well as bringing in some free transfers. So I brought in Carlos Eduardo. I mean, as strikers go in the Turkish league,
he's good
for a club of my size. Yeah, he ain't bad at all. Very happy with that one. Then we've got a couple of centre backs and an attacking midfielder. So we got this guy who's Turkish. Obviously, you're allowed to sign 11 foreign players or register 11 foreign players. That's where we're going to find ourselves getting stumped, I guess. But so I just went and trying to find some of the best Turkish players that I possibly could at this point.
Not many around, is there?
There isn't, no. But we've got 2 centre backs or 2 defenders and an attacking midfielder in my team. But this season, going into the next season in the summer, we have signed a couple of more players. We've got another centre defensive midfielder from Antalyaspor who looks quite good on a free transfer. Then we've got Faisal Opoku. And I think Faisal is going to be huge for me. He looked great. Only 27. He is classed as probably my best player now. Playing in that centre attacking midfield role, he could be class. And we got Abdallah, finally, £2 million that I brought in, who is a better CDM that I've brought into the club. Now, I'm going for a 4-2-3-1 narrow, or 4-3-2-1 narrow even. And since I took over, it did very well. If we're looking at the end of the season, the back half of the season when I took over in January, I only lost 1 league game to Galatasaray. So we drew against each other as well. I also drew against Trabzonspor, who's one of the best teams here. And I had a final day draw, which meant nothing because of where I finished anyway. So I'm pretty happy. I'm currently unbeaten in the league, outside of one game against Galatasaray, who were champions.
Yeah.
Not too bad. Now, the start of the season...
You saw that good player with Galatasaray with 10
Yeah, that's the trouble. The start of the season has not been as great, and we've gone to the end of the transfer window, which is mid-September here in Turkey. But I lost against Konyaspor, which is a bad result, really. And we've drawn against a couple of teams, including your roadside Rapid.
Yeah.
Although I did beat them 9-1 in the first leg. So it was a close one. But Besiktas and Göztepe was draws. But the rest of them has been wins. And so it's promising, especially when you beat Ajax 5-0 in the Europa League. What's happening there? That is mental.
Good result, that, isn't it?
So, I'm excited about this season, and I actually think I might be in with a bit of a chance closer than what people anticipate, because remember, we're in 2040. I know Dad is Fenerbahce, but they haven't been as good. Now, if we're looking at the tactics or the team that you have brought in, Dad, in that January, you also spent a fair amount of money. £21 million came in just the January alone through the players that you brought in. Again, looking at the Turkish players as well, because of that rule of the foreign players. It seems like Fenerbahce are rich, by the way.
Yes. A little bit of luck's gone my way again.
Yeah, £46 million in the bank. Your budget was £23 million to kick things off. So it's once again our whole story in this has been I've had no money and you've had loads.
Yeah.
So that's how we are continuing to go, and it might be the end, because of course this is the final trophy that either of us need to win. It's basically a race now to the Turkish Super League.
Well,
and whoever wins takes the whole race.
I'm just going to put it there. If I don't win it with this team, there's something seriously wrong. I've come up with probably the third or fourth best team in this league by far.
Yeah.
And I got money, so
yeah.
If I don't win it, I'm going to kick myself so much.
Well, you sold £5 million worth, brought in £22 million, so we can see a couple of players who are Turkish that you've brought in here. Backup goalkeeper Daniel Lopez, though, was a good signing.
Yeah, definitely.
As a
very
striker,
yeah.
Argentinian. Alfie Hawkins, you love your signing Arsenal players. Yeah, there's Alfie. He's joined the club. Andrew Finch, which was a good left back from Crystal Palace. We've got Inter Milan players coming in. Good centre attacking midfielder. Sam Solly, who was a good centre back. Again, a lot of foreign players coming in.
Yeah.
Marcus Antonio from Brazil looks really good.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
As a defensive midfielder. And finally, £8 million on a Turkish striker.
This was a little
good.
gem, isn't it?
Yeah, he's
to find
good.
this, especially being Turkish as well. So, 25, I could have him 4 or 5 seasons easily, and he could still be my best striker.
Yeah.
And I ain't got to worry about it because he's Turkish. So
Plan on being
better.
here for that long, yeah?
Well, not really, but I'm just saying he's only 25 and he's that good already. That's little gems I get. You just pick up and you just got to grab them straight away, haven't you?
Yeah. So tactically, you're going with 3 up front.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've got a good enough strike force to be that 3 up front, but I just wanted to. My defense wasn't that good, so I was thinking I just would have made it sort of make myself really hard to beat. But when I do go forward, I could cause some damage. So. The 3 good strikers, really.
I mean, your best player is your goalkeeper, who was already at the club. He is fantastic.
Yeah, by far. I was a little bit lucky with this, so I've just got to make sure the reserve keeper is quite good all the time, but just keep this guy happy, and hopefully I can keep him. 29, he can do me a few seasons yet as well. So yeah,
okay.
Fingers crossed. If I lose him, I could be in trouble.
Well, you've already lost to Galatasaray, though.
Yeah. But that's the only game I've lost this season.
That's the only game you have lost.
You know, if they lose a game, that puts us right back in the thing. So, yeah.
You've got Dirty Rats of Rennes next.
Oh.
You beat Newcastle with 2 goals in the 90th minute, which is quite interesting.
Yeah,
you do love a late goal, like 88th minute in the game before.
Yeah.
But in the league, Galatasaray have won 5 out of 5 so far and are currently leading with Trabzonspor. Neither of us are even in the top 3. Besiktas is also there because they are unbeaten as well. Just showing how strong or how competitive, the Turkish league is at the start here. And we've got a top scorer from Besiktas who looks really good, by the way. He looks fantastic. If I had the money you had, I probably would have tried to get him if he wouldn't come. But of course, some of them don't like to go to the rivals.
No, they don't.
That's the trouble that you might find. But yeah, so are we going to be here for a long time or a good time? Let's find out as we race to 7, and it's the final trophy. The first fixture between us in Istanbul went in the favour of Dad, whose side won 3-1. However, neither of us were getting anywhere close to Galatasaray, who was still unbeaten after 19 games and winning 18 of them. Dad beat me in their second game against each other, but despite Galatasaray losing 5 games, he still couldn't get close to them near the top of the league. Right, so second place, Dad, but still 6 points behind Galatasaray there, who have won the league.
Drawn too many games again. It's a story of my life, isn't it? Drawing games.
Yeah. Trabzonspor's dropped off massively, considering how dominant they were in the competition for a while. Obviously, Galatasaray's been winning it a lot lately, but Trabzonspor did win quite a few trophies. They've dropped down to 6. Even I finished above them with 67 points. I'm actually really happy with the season I had because I'm building something.
Yeah.
And out of nothing, really. Finishing 6 points behind with the money that you have spent, though.
I'm disappointed.
Ooh, there's going to be people commenting on that.
I am disappointed there. Drawn too many games again. Lost 5, the same as what Galatasaray did. So, I mean, that's still too many games if you're going to win a league. Yeah, disappointed with that season, but I'm there or thereabouts again. So
it's defensively, I think, yours, because clean sheets, you are nowhere near by looking at that. Daniel Lopez was the top scorer with 21.
Yeah. Like I said, I think I've got a really good strike force, so sort out the defence.
Carlos Eduardo is there, though. Go on, Carlos. Love to see that. So, I mean, if we're looking past positions throughout the season, we never really were there. Galatasaray sort of held on to that top spot from the very beginning. We've never been able to knock them off. Me at Samsunspor, I basically stayed around that 6th position and pinched 5th in the end, so it wasn't too bad. And I even got to round 16 of the Europa League, so that's a nice little bit of money there. Whereas yourself, Dad, in the other competitions, you went on to win the cup. Now, it's not obviously a trophy that we are looking for. Tottenham also knocked you out of the quarterfinal of the Champions League, which is quite funny.
Getting to the quarterfinal, that's still good with that team, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So I'm pleased with that. It's a good season. It's a start going in the right direction.
Yeah. So going into next season then, which I can't even remember off the top of my head what season it's going to be now, but Daniel Lopez got 36 goals there for you, 19 for the Turkish striker that you signed, which isn't too bad at all. And a couple of Turkish players near the top, which is good to see because obviously you need all the best Turkish players because of those rules. And you have 63 £1 million with an unbelievable
I'm going to say
wage.
It's more than that with the wage because they don't pay a lot of wages neither, do they?
No.
So
that's mental. But then, the higher you are, the further it is to fall. Because if I somehow pitch this...
Well, I'm getting worried. I must admit, I am getting worried. The one thing is, as well, it's all right having that type of money, but you just can't get the players to come to you. You know, a lot of the, you know, go for the top players. They're not interested in coming for the Turkish leagues.
Yeah.
So you have got to find these little gems in there.
It's because the manager, I reckon.
You just got to find those little gems in there that's going to cost you sort of like, I don't know, 7-8 million rather than the big ones. So that's what I'm going to look for.
Well, Faisal Opoku had a fantastic season for me.
Yes.
22 and 21, so 43 goal contributions in 46 games is not bad for a team like Samsunspor because we don't have a lot of money. We only got £5 million in the bank. And my transfer budget is less than £1 million. So I will be looking at bringing in some free transfers to kick things off for the next season. So it's really, finally, in that final stretch of the race to the 7. It's come down to the final trophy. That 7th and most important one, and it's in Turkey. So you don't want to go anywhere because now one of us is within touching distance of completing the race to the 7. In fact, both of us are. It's only that one of us can do it, and one of us has £60 million to spend, whereas the other has less than £1 million. Yes, it's down to the last trophy, but which way is this race to 7 challenge going, do you think?